This short video presentation will help you understand how your new house will be moved from our site to yours. We will break it down into 5 segments, including site preparation, which is important for you, the client, as it will give you guidelines on what needs to be done before your house is brought to your site. We will discuss site preparation, the lift, transporting the house, arrival at the site, and placing the house on the foundation. Site preparation. Before your new house arrives at the site, you should make sure that the site and basement are properly prepared. Placing a house on the basement will require adequate space for positioning. The site includes not only the basement and the site it's on, but also the surrounding property. There are different requirements in moving to a town or city as opposed to a rural location. If we are moving your home into a town or city, we will need your assistance in notifying your neighbors to keep vehicles off the street. It's important that we have clear access to your site. The town or city should also be notified, as there may be trees that need to be trimmed along the route. In a rural setting, it is important that your approach is at least 30 feet wide. This can include temporary fill necessary in order to achieve this width. As with a city move, trees may also need to be trimmed or removed. In both cases, it's a good idea to clearly mark any gas lines, power lines, or water shutoffs. The basement shown during this move is a PWF basement. However, there are 2 other types of foundations that may be used: concrete and ICF. A PWF basement requires additional bracing over the other 2 basement options. You can see how crucial the T-braces are, and if your bracing differs from this in any way, please contact Dennis Chuck Homes. No matter what type of basement you have, we require the wood and/or metal beam to be braced as shown in this video for safety purposes. Walkout basements, partial walkout basements, or basements more than 3 feet out of the ground are becoming increasingly common. However, in all 3 cases, additional fill will be required and Dennis Chuck Homes must be notified. Backfilling the basement is required prior to the house arriving on site and should look like the picture shown. At the same time, all dirt piles and debris should be moved out of the way to ensure the movers have clear and level access to all 4 sides of the basement. We will discuss the required clearances later on in this video. In the winter months, snow can build up and must be removed from around the entire basement, including the top edge that your house will be set on. If Dennis Chuck Homes has constructed the basement and some of the above points are not completed, please contact us. If you have taken care of your own basement, please contact your contractor to have the issue rectified. Summary of customer responsibility. Ensure access is clear of vehicles, trees, and any other obstacles. In a rural setting, the approach must be at least 30 feet wide. Ensure the basement is braced properly and beams are properly supported. Ensure that the basement is backfilled, site is level, and dirt and/or snow piles and other debris have been moved to allow for clear access to all 4 sides of the basement. Mark all gas, power, and water lines. Inquire to see which end your house will be loaded from. We will discuss more on this later in the presentation. The lift. After your house is built, our highly experienced crew prepares it for transport. Your home will be placed on the beams the day before or the day of the move. Beams are slid under the house. The tractor is lined up between the beams and lifts one end of the house. The wheels are then positioned, the jacks are removed, and the house is ready for transport. Transporting the house. The house shown in this video is 34 feet wide, and as you can see, it is an amazing sight as it travels down the highway. Dennis Chuck Homes takes care of all the required permits and regulations for the move. We also make sure the trip is free of any obstacles that may be encountered, such as power lines, bridges, and railroad crossings. Arrival at the site. Knowing how the house is positioned and moved onto the basement will help you understand the actual space that is required. There are two ways that a house can be placed on the foundation. The first method is the side roll, which is our most common. As mentioned earlier, you'll want to make sure the site is level and clear of all debris that may interfere with vehicle movement and the lifting of the house. It is also a good idea to clearly mark any gas lines, power lines, or water shutoffs to prevent any damage during the clearing process, especially in winter months. A tow vehicle will now be positioned on the far side of the basement. This requires a minimum of at least 20 feet at the back where the vehicle is placed. You will also need at least 10 feet on one side of the house, and the other side will require at least 30 feet to allow for the semi-tractor that is towing the house. Clearing the front to a fairly level surface will assist in the positioning and lifting of the house prior to sliding it into place. Remember, the space required will be the length of the house plus the semi-tractor that is towing it. The house is moved into place and lined up with the basement. Remember that this method requires enough space in front of and on the sides of the house. When the house and basement are aligned, beams are set under the house and the tow vehicle slides the house onto the foundation. The second method a house is positioned on the basement is the end roll. This follows the same procedure as the side roll. Keep at least 10 feet clear on the sides of the basement for positioning the tow vehicle and 20 feet behind for the tow vehicle itself. The difference with this method is that you must make sure that there is enough room for the house and semi-tractor in front of the basement. For this, you will need a space that is equal to the length of your house plus the length of the tow vehicle, which is approximately 30 feet. The house in this video is being moved onto the basement using a side roll. As you can see, soil conditions must be adequate in order to support the weight of the truck, and there must be enough space to allow for positioning of the house. Placing the house on the foundation. Once the house is positioned, the beams need to be removed and the house is lowered onto the foundation. In preparing the house to move over top of the basement, you can see the importance of level ground, space to position the pull truck, and room for the beams used during the move. During the lifting, moving, and positioning of your house, it is very common for cracks to appear in the interior, usually around the windows and openings. This is not unusual and is a common occurrence when something of this magnitude is moved from one location to another. Dennis Chuck Holmes' experienced service crew will repair and touch up any blemishes that have occurred. We hope that this presentation gives you a better understanding of the process of moving your new home. If you have any questions, please contact Dennis Chuck Holmes at 306-783-6228. Dennis Chuck Holmes, offering you comfort, quality, and service since 1975.